Tendría que ser buena.
Ja, 9-7. Kad se gurno iz ruku vrlo. Koliko je bio ovaj? 3-9?
4-5.
To pošto staci isto. Stacija!
204, barrida.
sí.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It's my pleasure to welcome you to draw number 6 of the 2019-2020 World Junior B Curling Championships and to introduce you to the teams competing on this draw. A reminder before we introduce the teams for this draw that you are asked to switch your mobile phones to vibrate, and you are welcome to take photos, but please turn off the flash function as the flash is a distraction to the players. For this draw we have Team Slovenia versus Team Spain on sheet alpha, Team Poland versus Team Croatia on sheet bravo, Team Korea versus Team Japan on sheet Charlie, Team Australia versus Team England on sheet Delta, Team Italy versus Team Latvia on sheet Echo, and Team Turkey versus Team Netherlands on sheet Foxtrot. Games will begin in 1 minute. Practice slides may be taken. Good luck and good curling.
¡Fuerte! ¡Vamos!
Hello and welcome to the Curling Finland live stream from the World Junior B Curling Championships 2019. This is our first game today with commentary, and I will be showing the game between Australia and England. As you can see, this is the junior men's round. So let's start with introducing our players. Australia, their lead is Zach Boland, who is a first-time player at a WCF event. Emil Cooper plays second, Jordan Enzinger is third and vice skip, and Jonathan Imla is the fourth player and skip. I had a chance to talk to the support team of the Australian Curling Federation, and all of these players come from Brisbane, except their alternate Thomas Benz, who's a 15-year-old player from Melbourne. And these guys that we see on the ice today have been in the World Junior B Championship a couple of times before. Our only first-timer out of this group is Zach Boland. And as the English are about to throw one of their rocks, let's see their lineup. So the lead is Harry Pinnell, second Archer Woods, third Felix Price, who is also the vice skip, and fourth player Jotham Sugden, who is skipping the team. The way the men's system in the World Junior Bs works is they have 3 pools of 8 teams. So in the round robin, the teams will have 7 games each. And both Australia and England actually had 2 games yesterday already. Yesterday was the first day of competition here. And based on yesterday's results, Australia is improving their game very quickly. They had their first game against Denmark and suffered a considerable loss, 13-0, but they really improved their game for the evening draw when they played against Slovakia and finished with a 6-9 loss. England, on the other hand, had a really good game yesterday, or a good day yesterday. Their first game was against Latvia, and they took an 8-1 win from that, and also another win in the evening draw against Chinese Taipei, and the score for that was 4-7. Okay, it's getting interesting for the first end. England has put Australia in a bit of a tough spot. They're lying at least 2 in the house. Yeah, looking at the picture, it looks like it's 2, and he has to try to tap that one out, and maybe they are wanting to roll a little bit as well. At least looking at the amount of ice they have taken for this last rock, it looks like they're looking to get a bit of a tap to tap that yellow one out of the house, and maybe roll their own one a little bit to the right in front of one of the rocks that's behind the house. Sort of a 50% success there. At least they did get rid of one of the yellow rocks in the house, but unfortunately rolled their own rock out. So now England should have the relatively easy task of just drawing another one to the house. They're probably making a smart choice here for the first end of the game. With the amount of ice that they're taking for this draw, it looks like they want to be sure there's something to draw onto if the skip's not quite sure about the draw weight. So they're not throwing to the center of the house, they are throwing to the side of the house where they're already lying one rock. And a good shot there by Jonathan Jotham Sugden, and England takes 2 from the first end. And while we're waiting for the second end to start, I thought I'd mention a couple of things about the size of the competition here. So in the World Junior B Curling Championships 2019, we have 43 teams from all over the world, 24 men's teams and 19 women's teams. And the medalists, so the top 3 women, top 3 men, will get a spot at the World Junior Curling Championships that will be played next spring. So it is a tough competition to get out of this B championship to the sort of an A division of the Junior Worlds. A pretty good shot there by the English lead, Harry Pinnell. I think they would have probably preferred to have that a little bit deeper in the house after their good start and a score of 2 in the first. And Australia is still looking to keep things simple and are asking for a takeout with this first shot. Another good shot there by Harry Pinnell, and it looks like this will be another end where we're mostly focusing on playing right into the house instead of really going for it with guards and being a little bit more aggressive. Having had a chance to play in Brisbane myself, I can imagine it'll be a bit of a challenge for the Australian guys to get the hang of the weight control on this kind of championship ice. Brisbane only has hockey rink where they train, and the ice conditions are quite a bit slower. So in the start of the competition, it is a big adjustment for these players to find the correct weight in this kind of ice. So it might mean they prefer the takeout game, especially at the start of the games. Unfortunate miss there by the Australian lead Zach Boland, and England gets a chance to put some pressure on again. And their another draw into the house is looking pretty good. I think they were looking to go around the rock that was already in the house, or maybe tap it back a little. But it was lacking just a little bit weight and over curled slightly. And looks like there would be a chance for a double there for Australia. Looks like we have quite a few people watching and some people chatting on our live section or the chat section, and because this is our first live stream with a bit of commentary, I would love to welcome feedback from you guys on the volume level of what you hear from the ice and the volume level of the commentary, because we're just adjusting our settings now. So if you feel like either one should be a little bit louder to make it pleasant to listen to, feel free to write something down in the chat and we'll make some adjustments. A miss there by the English gives Australia a chance to take control of this end if they're successful with the takeout they're asking for now. Unfortunately, from the angle where I'm sitting or even looking at our ceiling camera, I can't quite tell whether the red one is in the house. I suspect it is because England was going to go for it with their previous shot. And let's see. That was a very unfortunate miss by the Australians, tapping the yellow behind the red one kind of makes things difficult for them for the following shots. So if they had to miss, that was definitely the wrong side to miss that takeout. Australia gave England a bit of a chance there to have two laying in the house, but unfortunately another miss by the English team, still finding their draw weight at the start of the game and threw it a little bit heavy. Australian sweepers working hard there to bring that one into the house, and it looks pretty good. I think you can see about half of it looking at it from the hack, but the angle to the yellow rock looks pretty good, so they've left a slightly challenging shot for the English player. If the line had been just a little bit better on that Australian shot, they could have left it just a little bit higher, closer to the top 12, to give the English more of a risk of jamming that red one onto their own yellow if they decide to go for a slow takeout or decide to try and tap it out. So the first rock of the English skip Jotham Thugton is on its way. Listening to their screaming, the line probably seems pretty good, yes, and good shot there. And they also get nice separation between the two yellow rocks in the house. An unfortunate miss there by the Australian skip gives England a chance to put more pressure on, and they're probably looking to draw onto the top 12 of the house to block a draw into the house by the English skip with his last rock. Thanks for your comment in the chat about the volume levels. We've adjusted the volume slightly and increased the volume of the commentary in comparison to the sounds you get from the ice. So if you feel like there should still be more of an adjustment, please let me know and we'll tweak things a little bit. And a great shot there by Jotham Sugden, and well swept and evaluated as well. It did probably overcurl a little bit to what they wanted. They probably would have wanted it to be just kind of in the middle of the central line, right in front of that house, right in front of that rock that's touching the center of the house. So it does give the Australian skip, Jonathan Imler, a chance to kind of tap onto that rock in the middle of the house and hope to be line one after the shot. And thank you, Fiona, for your feedback. So we will keep these settings for our future commentary as well. Let's see what happens. Last rock of this end is underway. It looks like they're playing maybe a little bit more weight than I thought they might be. And unfortunately, it did get rid of that best rock in the house, but rolled out. It would have maybe benefited them to play it just a little bit slower, so even if you don't get the perfect shot, you're more likely to stay in the house against those other two English rocks. So after the first two ends, our score for the game is 4-0 for England. Let's hope for the next end we see a slightly more aggressive approach from the Australian team. I would love to see some guards and draws more than just going for the takeout, because it might be something that the English team is more experienced and comfortable with, and it might give the Australians a bit of a chance to catch up in the game. It is still early days in the game, so a good chance to still come back from this lead. While the teams are setting up this end with their first shots, I thought I'd go around the other sheets and tell you what's happening. So on sheet A, we've got Slovenia against Spain, and the score for that one after the first end is 1-0. They're just completing their second end there. On sheet B, Poland is playing against Croatia. Also there, the score is 1-0 for Croatia after the last end, or after the first end, sorry. And then we've got Korea, Japan on sheet C, and after two ends of play, Japan is leading 1-0. Korea has just blanked the second end, and they're just starting their third end of the game. And in our featured game, after the first three shots, it looks like it will be a slightly more interesting end ahead. Great guard there by the Australian lead. That will give them a chance to build something in this end. Unfortunately for Australia, the English lead has really good weight control in this game, and with their rocks, England is controlling the top of the house, so it really challenges the Australian lead, Zach Boland, who's here for the first time, as mentioned before. And then looking at the other two sheets, on sheet E, we have Italy-Latvia, which is 1-1 after 2 ends. And on sheet F, Turkey and Netherlands have blanked the first 2 ends. So looks like they've been keeping it pretty simple there too. And really nice placement of rocks again there by England, not making it very easy for the Australian skip to decide what he wants to do with the next one. Personally, when you're behind a few points, it always pays off to be a little bit brave, so just taking out rocks is not really that helpful in the beginning of it. In the beginning of an end, it's probably better to move things around, tap the opponent's rock further back in the house, just to create yourself a chance for them to make a mistake when they go for the takeouts. They probably got this takeout a little bit more to the side than what they were looking for, but a good double there, which makes things hopefully a little bit easier for them for the other shots to come. Another great shot there by the English team. They really seem to have the draw weight down for this game. Let's see how much ice Australian skip takes for this one. He's taking quite a bit of ice, which I probably think means they want to go for a control weight tap, which as a call I like, because it'll be, at this point in the end, it'll be enough for Australia just to tap that other yellow further in the house, or maybe just outside of the house. And the crucial thing here is to leave their own rock in a good position, which is exactly what they have done. Now it's England who has to decide whether they want to do something about that red rock in the house, or if they decide to go for a guard and guard their shot rock in the house. It looks like the call is a guard, which I like. They're leading by quite a lot, so sometimes people just want to keep it really simple. They don't want to go for guards, but I think this early on in the game, if you have a chance to make things difficult for the opposition, then you should take that chance. A little bit heavy here with the guard, or quite a bit heavy, but the line would have been really good, as you can see, and where it finishes in the house. So Australia going for a tap. They're trying to tap on their own rock, make the yellow shot rock move further back in the house, or they might even be hoping to get both of the yellow rocks moving. Not a bad shot at all there by Australia. Unfortunately, it didn't quite curl enough to what they wanted, but I think the outcome's okay. They have 2 rocks in the house. They have last rock in this end. And let's show you the image of the house again before we see the rock coming in. And you can see the 2 yellow rocks there close to the center line are looking good for a double for Australia. So this might be a chance for Australia to create themselves a chance to score 2. A good takeout there by the English, just making sure Australia doesn't get a chance for a big end here. And Australia calling for a takeout, and not quite sure if they're trying to get the double. It looked like quite a bit of ice, so they might be just hoping to hit and roll off of that rock in the center. Another good shot there by Australia. With a little bit more sweeping and an earlier call with the sweeping, they would have gotten that red rock to roll in front of that yellow one, which would have made things slightly more difficult for England. It might have left them an easier double off of the red ones. And they are looking at that double right now, but there would have been a risk to jam onto their own yellow in the back of the house if the Australian team had rolled that red one a little bit more to the right. It seems the English skips decide the double's too risky. There is a chance to hit the guard if you decide to go for that double. I can't quite see the angles, unfortunately, so not even sure if the double's really there. If the rocks are really level, then you would have to have considerable amount of weight in your shot to get that double. But what they're going for now is just getting rid of that red rock on the side of the forefoot, and probably hoping to roll their own one into the house a little bit. A good shot there. So the 2 options that the Australian skips are looking at are either playing a double from that yellow that's on the top 8, and they're just looking at the angles of that shot right now. Another option, the Australian skip Jonathan Imler was showing his face skip, was if they tried to maybe take a little bit less ice and curl towards the center line and just get rid of that rock in the top 8 to make sure they will be lying 2 after this shot. I think personally it would be maybe the better call to just go for that hidden roll. If you get the angle right off of that yellow, you'll probably end up moving your own red rock a little bit as well. I suspect it wouldn't leave England the easiest double, but if the choice is to go for the double off of the yellows here, there's a big risk of their own rock rolling too far outside of the house. A good shot there, but unfortunately, just like I said, with that near perfect shot, the red one rolled to the side 12 foot, and it leaves two of the English rocks. The two yellow ones are now better than the rock Jonathan just played. England sweeping very hard to get a bit more curl. It wasn't curling the way they wanted it to, or maybe they took a little bit too much ice, or there was a slight mistake in the release of that rock. And Australia gets a chance for two here. From where I'm looking, it looks like Australia is now lying one, and they can either decide to draw with the last rock or go for a takeout. And looking at where the broom is at the moment, I think Jonathan Imler is going to go for control weight takeout of the English rock in the house. For this one, maybe compared to last end, I would like to see just a little bit less weight used, so that even if he's not perfect with the way he hits this yellow one, he hopefully won't roll his own one out of the house. Yes, great shot there by Jonathan, and Australia scores 2, and they're back in the game. Okay, and as we're ready to start the fourth end of the game, I will take a look at the results from the other sheets as well, as somebody requested that in the chat, so I will try to remember to do it at the start of each end. So on sheet A, where we have Slovenia and Spain, the score is 1-1 after 2 ends. It looks like they're a little bit behind schedule compared to some of the other ends. The other games. And then Poland-Croatia is 2-0 for Croatia. Korea-Japan, the umpire is just putting points on there. Okay. Oh, she's changing it. Let's see. Just a minute. Okay, so it's 4-0 for Japan in the Japan versus Korea. And then on sheet E, in Italy versus Latvia, the score is 2-1 for Italy after 3 ends. And finally, Turkey-Netherlands is 2-0 for Turkey after 3 ends. When you've got the view from our overhead camera, in the live stream, you can see a couple of other sheets that are keeping the same kind of pace as our featured sheet D here. So on the right hand side, you can see the Korea-Japan game, and on the left hand side is the Italy-Latvia game. Unfortunately, the Italy-Latvia scoreboard is a little bit behind our system scoreboard in this game, and we weren't able to move that around yesterday when we tried, so apologies for that. But at least this way we can sort of offer you 3 games at the same time. So back to our featured game. I'm really liking the look of this, and great setup there by the English, but also probably very usable guards. They're a little bit stacked like that, but very close to the house, easy to tap them should Australia decide to. So I think we will see another interesting end played here. A really nice finish there to that rock, and it's very well hidden behind those 4 rocks in the guard area, and the other 2 yellow in the top of the house. And England now calling for appeal of those guards, or maybe just hoping to get rid of at least one of them. And they're hitting it a little bit too much to the right hand side of that rock to get both of the guards really moving, but I'm pretty sure they're quite happy with that result, as they're wanting to keep the center line open for that last rock that England has in this end. With that peel, though, they opened a chance for a double for Australia. So should they be successful in this one, it'll turn the end around considerably. Australia is sweeping hard for line all the way, and unfortunately are only able to catch the rock in the top of the house. A great shot there by the English. They got the hit and roll they wanted. And another really good shot by Australia. A really nice hit and roll off of the best English rock in the house. And now the English skip is looking at using that yellow rock on the top 12 to come onto the red on the top 4 foot. Somebody just mentioned in the chat that the scoreboards are hiding the games. I suspect you referred to the kind of red and yellow scoreboard visual that we have there on the top left-hand corner. And unfortunately, we weren't able to move that to the bottom part of the screen when we tried yesterday. So the left-hand side of the game you probably can't see quite so well. A nice promotion there by the English teams. They got the result they wanted. And now Australia really hoping to get this double to make sure that they're going to be lying 2 in the house and not giving the English a chance to score more than 1 in this end. Unfortunately, again, we only get the other rock out, which leaves England the easy task of tapping the other red out of the house and lying 2. A really nice shot there by the English. That would be a very difficult double to go for, so the Australians are looking at playing a hit and roll off of that yellow that's lying on the top 8 foot at the moment. Maybe hoping to roll quite far and even slightly behind that guard that we have on the right hand side of the sheet. A very unfortunate miss there by Jonathan on his first rock. It was looking pretty good for sort of both of the teams. Australia kept having chances to get that double and keep things simple for this end when they don't have the hammer. And then on the other hand, England kept having chances to be in with a chance to score 2 or 3 out of this end. With this miss, England is looking a lot better for scoring 2 or 3 out of this. But let's hope Jonathan has a successful last shot after we see where the first rock of the English skip finishes. They're going for a draw to the right-hand side of the house, trying to get it behind the guard. It's curling quite a bit, but I think they might be just past the guard. And yes, great shot there by Jotham Sugden. And thanks for your question in the chat. I will talk you guys through the scoring process of curling if there's first-time viewers here. after we see what happens with the last rocks at this end. So at the start of the next end, I'll talk you through the scoring, and I can explain a little bit once this end is finished as well. Okay, a good shot there by Jonathan Emle. The important thing here with his last rock was to make sure they stay in the house and at least make England really throw for that score of 3 points. And a great shot there by Jonathan Sugden as well. And with that, England scores 3. And that will give us a nice segue to your question. So in curling, in one end that's played, only the other team gets points. So even if we were to have 10 different rocks in the house, it will only be either the yellow team or the red team that will score from that end. And as you saw here, we had 3 yellow rocks in the house, and both of the... Sorry, there was a great shot on another sheet, so I got distracted, so I will start again. So we had 3 yellow rocks in the house, and that gives the yellow team, in this case England, 3 points from this. People sometimes wonder if the closer you are to the center of the house, does it give you more points? It doesn't. Every rock is worth 1 point, and you get the amount of points that your rocks are closer to the center of the house than the opposition. So if Australia would have had some rocks lying in the house that would have been better than some of the English rocks in the house, England might have only gotten 1 or 2 out of this end. Sometimes you see, especially in mixed doubles, which is a more aggressive playing format, you see a lot of rocks in the house, a lot of rocks in that blue area that's called the forfeit, and you still see only a score of 1 because they're just all kind of next to each other, and even though you have a lot of great shots there, there's only 1 that's better than the opposition. Another kind of a different scenario would be where you have only one rock in the house just barely touching the rings. It's not a very good rock, it's not that close to the center, but if it's the only rock in the house, that will give you the score of 1 in that end. I hope that clarifies the scoring a little bit. And what else? The maximum score for each end is 8 points, because each of the teams have 8 rocks to play. It probably sounds very unlikely that this was ever to happen, but it does happen, and it normally happens in those kinds of ends where the other team is able to just leave their rocks, biting the house to the sides of the house, and the other team kind of trusts that they'll be able to freeze their own rocks somewhere, and then before you know it, you find yourself in a world of trouble with the skip rocks, and at that point it's kind of too late to go for takeouts, and you just take a big risk and you hope that the opposition isn't successful with their last rock. It's a great feeling for teams when they score 8, but it's a terrible feeling for those guys who have to be on the receiving end of that. I'm glad that helped clarify things a little bit about the scoring, and if you have any other questions like that, feel free to ask, and we'll try to keep following the chat as we go along. So after fourth ends, the teams have a 4 to 5 minute break where they get to plan their strategy for the upcoming 4 ends or the remaining 4 ends, and have a bit of a snack and a drink and talk to their coach. And somebody said in the chat, hopefully the Aussies will feel very inspired to really bring out their A game in the remaining ends, because they need to get back on the scoreboard. Another thing that I did not mention yet about the scoring is that whenever a team scores in an end, that means that the other team that did not score will have the benefit of the last rock in the next end. The last rock is considered quite a big benefit. The last rock is also called the hammer. As you can maybe see, there's a hammer image on the scoreboard behind the country that has it in that particular end. You might not be able to see it, depends a little bit how clear the view is. So our 5th end of the game is underway, and the English lead, Harry Pinnell, is continuing to play very well, controlling the center of the house. Ideally, for the lead, for the first player, the first rocks, when the team is leading the game considerably, you would like to have them control the top of the house and control the top forefoot, so the blue rings. And now I suspect the English skip is probably calling for Harry to play the second rock right in front of the yellow that we have in the house and have it on the top 12. As you can see, his broom is lying pretty much where he would like this rock to stop. That one was a little bit heavy. It's a little bit further in the house to what they wanted. And while at the moment the situation looks great for England, the rocks that are behind the tee line can pose a bit of a challenge later on in the end if the Australians succeed in setting up the end well for themselves. As you can probably see, our live stream seems to have frozen, so what we will need to do is we will need to reboot our system and that will take about 2 to 3 minutes to restart. So we should have a working live stream for you in about 3 or 4 minutes, and the link for watching the game will remain the same. So hopefully we'll be back soon.
Sí, haréis línea. ¿Dónde? 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 Sí, cierre, cierre. Fuerte, 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 fuerte. Vamos, 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 vamos. Más, un poco más, un poco más. Vale, vale, está bien, está bien. Vale, Monté, tampoco está mal. Podemos tener eso.
Okay, as you can see, we got our image back, but we're experiencing a couple of technical difficulties yet, and I will try to sort them out, and I will be back with the commentary then. So we're sort of back on. At least it looks like you're having a pretty good view of the game. And we're just adding the scoreboard back. Before our system crashed, I was just about to go through the other sheets and the situation there. But I think I'll wait a while because we're almost done with this fifth end of our featured game. So England is getting ready to play their last rock in this end, and as you can see, Australia's got a pretty good situation happening there. They're lying to in the house, but unfortunately the best rock at the moment is showing completely, so it does give England a chance to go for at least that one, maybe even both of them. Nice shot there by the English skip. Probably not quite the result they were looking for. With the weight that they were throwing that, it looked like they wanted to tap that red one out just like they did and have the yellow rock roll just slightly to be in front of the red one in the house and to really leave a challenging shot for the Aussie skip for his last rock. Now he's in the nice position of being able to just draw onto the house for his second point. If I remember correctly though, I think this might be his first draw of the game. I think he's been mainly throwing takeout type of shots and tap backs and things like that, so hopefully he has the draw weight down. As it's coming down, it's looking pretty good, maybe just slightly heavy still, but it slows down nicely, and I think it slowed down just enough to give Australia another score of 2. They were kicking rocks away before I could see, but I think it was another score of 2 for Australia. And yes, the game umpire agrees, so our score for the game after 5 ends is now 7-4 for England. And now I'll quickly go around the other sheets. Turkey, Netherlands. Turkey is leading 2-1 after 4 ends. Italy, Latvia. Italy is leading 4-1 after 5 ends. Korea, Japan. Japan is leading 4-1 after 4 ends. In the Poland-Croatia game, the score is 3-2 after 4 ends. And finally, in Slovenia, Spain, after 4 ends, the score is 2-2. Okay, really nice setup there by Australia. They've taken control of the center line, and they probably wanted that first rock of Emil Cooper to be a little bit deeper in the house, but it's not a bad position at all where it is at the moment. And because England is leading by 3 points and they have the hammer for this end, they want to be clearing the center line to make sure they're able to leave a shot for their last rocks in this end, and to make sure that Australia wouldn't have a chance to score by stealing in this end. And as an answer to a question there in the chat, the games in this championship are 8 ends. In the World Championships then, I think the juniors will also play 10 ends, as do the women and men in the World Championships as well as European Championships. It has quite a significance to the way you approach the game and the strategy of the game when you have a difference between an 8-end game or a 10-end game. I'm not quite sure what the call there was for the Australian shot. I think they might have wanted to hit the inside of the yellow rock there and roll into the house. And unfortunately, it overcurled a little bit and just stayed there as a guard. England is continuing to keep it simple. Just take rocks out, and England would be probably happy to blank this end. They would be very happy with a score of 0 and keep the hammer or the last rock for the next end. I will quickly update you on the other games, as now sheets A to C have finished the first 5 ends. Japan is still leading 4-1 after 5 ends. It was 0-0 for the 5th end there. And then in the Poland-Croatia, Poland stole 2 points in the 5th end, and they are now leading 5-2. And Slovenia, Spain continues to be a very even game, and after 5 ends the score there is 3-2. A smart choice there by the Australian skip to go for guards in this situation. To have a chance to stay in the game, they desperately do need to steal from this end, or at least make sure that England doesn't score any more points, or if they do, they will be getting only one. That might still give them a chance to stay in the game. And the English skip was kind of wondering whether to draw here, so go behind that guard, and it was quite a nice shot by Felix Price there, but it is a little bit deeper in the house than you would like to have it, so it has gone a little bit behind the tee line or behind the button, which leaves Australia with the ideal opportunity to steal here. If their skip is able to play a really good draw, that they freeze onto this yellow or leave it just in front of it, it makes the next shot for England quite a bit more challenging. So instead of playing the draw into the house, the other option for the English skip would have been to just peel that guard. So just take out the red guard that Australia played, and then Australia wouldn't have really had a chance for a really good draw behind any guards. They might have gone behind that guard on the right hand side of the house, but then England could have always drawn to the center of the house at the end of the end. And like I mentioned, that was the shot that Australia went for, and Jonathan Imla executed that really, really well. It looks from here that it's now completely frozen onto the yellow rock, but it is still a little bit behind the tee line, so it leaves England a chance to again freeze onto that red rock now, or maybe even tap it slightly. And after this shot, if England plays it well, it'll be quite challenging for Australia to play a shot that will be in a better position than the English rock. But we'll see what happens. And the English were sweeping very hard there to get it just past the guard. It was over curling a little bit to where it needed to be anyway, but it just catches the Aussie guard there and rolls onto the right hand side of the house. And Australia's looking really good for a steal now. I think the options the Australian skips are now discussing is whether to do something about that yellow rock that just rolled onto the house and is now level with the Aussie rock, or whether to guard the Aussie rock by playing the rock on the top of the house, maybe top 12, top 8 foot, and try to make sure that the line for that kind of guard in the house would be really good. But then it seems they've decided to go something different, and they're using the other side of the sheet. I'm guessing they want to make another really good draw and make sure that they're going to be laying 2 points after this shot. We'll see how it goes. As a call, I'm not quite sure about this. Even if they make it perfect, there might have been more advantages to playing that guard from that line that he was familiar with. But it looks like a great shot again. It really looks like Jonathan has found his draw weight. I'm going to try to zoom in a little bit. Forgive me if I end up zooming out. And just a little bit more. Yeah, the draw weight was excellent with that, but it looks from where I'm sitting, it looks like with what they did, they might have left England a chance for a run-back double. So what England would have to do is use that red guard that's on the central line and run that back onto the two reds that are in the house. Definitely not an easy shot for sure, but maybe with a different kind of shot selection, Australia wouldn't have even left this chance for England. With the way the English are yelling, I think it looks pretty good. And yeah, great shot by Jotham Sugden. Gets that double, and I think they even scored one with the yellow that was on the right-hand side of the house. We'll see what happens on the scoreboard after this. Good effort by both of the skips there. Really good shot making. Still wondering a little bit about that choice to draw on that other side of the house by the Australian team. I think if they had decided to guard that great rock they had for a steal, they would have had a chance to angle the rocks in a way that would not have left the English with that double. But again, a great shot by Jotham Sugden to make sure that he made that run back double and bailed his team out of trouble. And as we're starting a new end, I'll update you on the other ends that are going on, and we will just switch the image to the other side just a second. Okay, so Harry Pinnell continues to play his really good draws as the lead for the English team, and quite correctly the Aussies going for a corner guard here, trying to give themselves a chance to score some points in this end. Ideally they would really need to try and create an opportunity for a score of 3 here, and then try to go for that steal in the 8th end, which would give them a chance to get an extra end. Well, obviously they would be happy with more than 3, but it will be a challenge against the English team with the way that they are playing. Both of the leads playing really well, and I gotta say, the Australian team has been playing really well whenever they have had the hammer. They've made some smart choices with their strategy, and they've given themselves a chance for those scores of 2 previously, even though they haven't necessarily made every shot in that end. And now for that update from the other games, like I promised. So if the players would move out of the way. Korea, Japan is... Ooh, that was actually just the last track of that end with a wonderful double there, but not quite sure what happened there. I will update you on that soon. But on the sheet next to them, Poland, Croatia. Poland is playing really well. They just had a steal of 4 in the 6th end and are now leading the game 9-2. Italy-Latvia on the sheet next to us is 4-3 at the moment after 6 ends for Italy. Netherlands and Turkey is a really even game as well. The Netherlands team has stolen 1 point for 2 consecutive ends, so the total score there is now 3-2. And then we've got Slovenia, Spain, also still very even. Score is 3-3 after 6 ends. And with that great last shot by the Japanese skip, it looks like he bailed his team out of a bit of trouble and scored 1 for Japan. And the total score there now is 5-1. And getting back to our game, Australia-England. England's been setting up the game really well, looking at the scoreboard, and with their 8-4 lead. Australia really needs their rocks to stay in the house if they decide to go for takeouts. So for the rest of the end, I would like to see them be brave and just move things around, not use too much weight, make sure they try to leave difficult shots for the English to get rid of. Unfortunately, it is looking very challenging for a big score here for Australia because there's no more guards left. Jonathan here chooses to go for a hidden roll off of the English rock in the center, which I'm afraid it won't leave them a lot of options even if they get this perfect, even if they roll it into a nice position to the right hand side of the house. It will be a relatively straightforward shot then for the English. The English seem more than happy to use their own rock in front of that red to run it back onto the red, and after that maybe roll the rock that they're now throwing a little bit to the left, and they will then be lying 2 in the house. But it is looking quite wide and they got a little bit lucky there probably and caught the red one straight on without having to run their own one back. It seems in the chat there was a request for more commentary on Cooper. I seem to be late for this end, but if the teams go to the 8th end, depending on what happens here, I'll make sure to comment Cooper's shots, if I remember. Australia there, correct choice, trying to freeze their own rock to the yellow one. And it had the right margin of error as well, in that if it's a little bit short and they leave it as a guard in front of that yellow rock, on the right hand side of the house. That's a relatively good result as well, because it will give them that chance to create themselves points sort of out of thin air at the moment. England plays another good shot though and gets rid of that guard and rolls their own one into the house. Jonathan not quite sure what to do here, so he is asking for a timeout. And as their coach is making his way onto the ice, let's see what we have here. They would desperately need some guards. Unfortunately, none are available anymore. So I think perhaps their best shot in this situation would be to try and freeze a rock to that yellow that is touching the center line at the moment. So make sure you just freeze onto it. Don't try to tap it. It will not give you shot rock position immediately, but it is the shot that will leave the most difficult shot for England with their next one. If Australia decided to go for it and if they make the perfect shot, England would need a considerable amount of weight in their takeout to move the red rock that's frozen close to the central line. If a rock is frozen on the sidelines of the house, you still need quite a bit of weight in your takeout to freeze onto it or to make it move, but not as much because the rock is already closer to the sides of the house, so it doesn't have that much moving to do to be outside of the house. They disagreed with my choice and went for a freeze on the side of the house, which is not a bad call either. Unfortunately, the shot is a little bit on the light side weight-wise, and the freeze isn't quite successful. The position of the rock is pretty good though, so if England happen to overcurl with their next takeout, they might be jamming onto the yellow that we have on the right hand side of the house. So we'll see what happens. That would give the Australian team a chance for that 2-point score from this 7th end. Nice shot there by the English, and let's see where the Australians choose to draw this time. I don't think this shot will be a draw with the amount of ice they're taking. Jonathan is probably choosing the tap the yellow a little bit, or maybe even tap it out of the house. If he was to try and freeze onto that yellow on the central line, he would probably take quite a bit more ice. So the broom would be more to the left-hand side of the house. Well, something really funny happened there. The rock changed its turn during its journey down the sheet, and it finished in a pretty good position. Normally, when you have a pickup like that, there's something on the ice that gets in the bottom of a rock. It tends to be a disaster, and you completely miss that shot. But the Aussies were a little lucky here, and after all the twists and turns, it finished in a pretty good position. It looks like the Australians are lying 1 now from the angle that I'm looking, but the English can see that red rock completely. So if the English skip is successful in his takeout here, it will be a maximum score of 1 for Australia if they're able to play a good last shot. We'll see what happens. A really nice shot there by Jadam Septon, and leaving Jonathan Imla in a position to draw against 3 or decide to go for a takeout. And that is what it looks like that they're going to be going for. A kind of nice control weight takeout of that yellow rock that Jadam Septon just put there. Unfortunately, that one rolled out, leaving England with a steal of 2. And I think the teams will probably discuss whether they will decide to play all the 8 ends or whether they will want to shake hands. It's looking like they will be playing the 8 ends, and the Aussies are probably looking to get a good finish to the game. At the moment, though, the English are leading 10-4 with that steal of 2. While the leads are playing their rocks, Korea-Japan after 6 ends scores 5-1. Turkey-Netherlands score is 3-2 after 6. Poland and Croatia have already shaken hands, and Poland continued on that stealing streak there and took another steal of 4 from the 7th end, and the final score of that game was 13-2. And it looks like Slovenia and Spain is 3-3 after 6. And Italy, Latvia is looking very even. Italy had a very strong game for the first 5 ends, kept taking steals of 1 and were in a 4-1 lead, but now Latvia has come back to the game with taking 2 in the 6th and then stealing 2 in the 7th. So Latvia is now leading 5-4 before the last end. And in case some of you were wondering why the English just threw their first rock through the house, that's what you do strategically when you have a considerable lead in a game and you're playing the last and the end of the game, you don't want any rocks in the house or the guard area that could give the opposition a chance to go for something in the game. Also, with this second shot of Harry Pinnell, the margin of error is to play it a little heavy, just go through the house if it looks like it's not going to be a good draw. So the English are probably very happy with not having any of their own rocks in play at the moment. With the amount of ice the English skip was taking there, I think the English team is going for splitting that guard, so they want to just tick it a little bit, tick it onto the house or to the sides of the playing area, and that was very successful. They played with a nice weight. Even though the red rock is now in the house, it's in a very poor position in the house, and it is going to be a rock that the English can take out with their next shot. Ideally, that tick shot by the English team would have just touched that red rock and moved it a lot to the right, while the English yellow rock could have maybe rolled into the house. So the only downside of England's previous shot was that they left a guard with their own yellow rock there. And I got to comment on the shot played by Emil Cooper there. A great draw. The line looks pretty much perfect. The weight was definitely perfect. Australia wants to control the top of the house, but unfortunately a great shot also by England's second player, Archer Woods. Threw it a slightly heavier takeout weight there to make sure that both of the rocks roll out. So again, England is very happy to roll out all of their own rocks to make sure there's nothing in the house for the Aussies to freeze their rocks onto. There's another question in the chat about when I say with the amount of ice that the skip is taking. So what that means is the skip holds the broom in where he wants the players to aim, and the slower a shot is, the more it will curl. So he will take more ice for slower shots like draws, and for shots like takeouts, the broom will be very close to the rock that we want to take out. So he will be taking less ice for those kinds of shots. So that's what I meant with saying with the amount of ice that he's taken, it looks like a takeout or it looks like a draw. And while I was explaining this, the players shook hands because Australia was mathematically eliminated in this game. So in curling, when you no longer have a chance to win the game, you are out of the amount of rocks that you would need to score that 6. They are required to shake hands. If you want to stay tuned for a little bit longer, our journalist students from the Chinese Harbin University will go grab a few of the players from our featured sheet, and they will be doing an interview in our mixed zone section. While the interview is getting set up and the players are moving off of the ice, I could try to move our camera angle a little bit to the left and see if I could show you what's going on in the game against Italy against Latvia. Okay, so the total score there is 5-4 for Latvia. Italy has got the hammer, or the last rock, in this final end of the game. And at the moment, it's looking very, very good for Italy. They have for sure 2 in the house. Even that yellow one that's in the guard area mostly might be touching the house slightly. There is, however, a guard there in the perfect position for Latvia to try to No, I was talking nonsense. I got the colors wrong, so it wasn't looking very good for Italy, but now it's looking better. Sorry about that. So yeah, Italy gets a nice takeout of the yellow Latvian rock, as I can now see. Italy is lying 1 at the moment at the back of the house there, and Latvia is going for a takeout of that. So Latvia is really putting the pressure on Italy at the moment. I think Latvia would have probably preferred to leave that takeout rock they just played in the house, just to put more pressure on Italy. If they were to be laying 2 or 3 before Italy's last rock, it would be putting quite a bit of pressure on the Italian skip to make that last draw. I think our interview area will be ready soon. I'm not sure if we're able to get you image of it, but hopefully you will get the sound of the interview.
How was the game?
Yeah, it was quite a good game. We kind of controlled it from the beginning, but we kind of let the other team in occasionally, but we kind of kept control throughout the whole thing. Got up in the first couple of ends and carried on hitting, just removing the other team's stones. Yeah, it was good overall.
So what is your target of this competition?
Well, our first goal is to make playoffs, quarterfinals. If we reach quarterfinals, then we want to qualify up to World Juniors, but we'll see how it goes. Yep.
So can you tell us what is the most important part in the curling match?
We find it's communication between the team. Everyone's on the same wavelength and we're all thinking the same way. Everyone's got the same goals and mindset, so yeah.
So finally, do you want to say anything to your coach or family or someone else?
Sorry, what was that?
Do you want to say anything to your coach or family or someone else?
Yeah, we want to thank our coach. Obviously, he dedicates all his time to come and helping us. Hello to everyone back home, all of the team's family, friends watching. Yeah, that's everything.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
How are you feeling now? How are you feeling now?
It was good. It was a good game. Kind of tiring. Both teams played well, but we came out on top, which was good.
Okay, could you tell us something about how did you prepare for this competition?
We prepared really well. We had a few training sessions. We also listened to a lot of podcasts. There's one called Rocks Across the Pond. It's really good. So get us mentally prepared. It's nice.
Okay, in this match, what do you think is the biggest challenge?
Probably trying to get control of the ice. The ice was kind of difficult to read towards the beginning, but we sort of managed to get hold of it towards the end.
Okay, finally, do you want to say anything to your coach or family or someone else?
Yeah, I'd say hi to my mum, my dad, and my granny. I think they're watching, and our school teacher, Owen Rees. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so a couple of nice interviews there by the English players. And we're going to try to get you back the image of the game on sheet C again with Italy and Latvia. They're just playing the last rocks of the game. They both have one more rock to go after this shot that you probably just saw there. So a wonderful takeout there by the Italian skip through that port, and Latvia now in a tough position to try to tap that red one on the button and tap it enough to be lying shot and really leave a challenging shot for the Italian skip for his last rock. So the last rock of the Latvian team is now underway. They are really sweeping it hard all the way. And it's a great shot. He gets a really thick hit on the red rock in the house, but he does roll a bit to the right like you would expect to, but it leaves the Italian skip with an open hit for 1 point, which would mean that there will be an extra end in this game if the Italian skip can make this shot. And a great shot by the Italian skip as well. And if I've looked at the scoreboard correctly, it means we will be going to an extra end in that game. So I think the score should be 5-5 after 8 ends. And the teams might have a small break before they start their extra end. It seems that we chose the right game to watch after Australia and England finished, as this will be very, very even and interesting. Good shot making by both of the teams. Okay, so now we're going to be moving the cameras around and looking for angles to give you guys the extra end on this game. It might mean we need to spin around a little, but it seems to be working. Apologies to Jebediah for the motion sickness. We did not have a pre-setting for that sheet for a camera angle, so it needed to be done manually. I see there was a big fan audience there for Emil Cooper for an interview, but unfortunately I was not in charge of choosing the players, so I don't think you got to hear from Emil there. I think it was the skip and the vice of the English team. Really nice setup there by the Italian lead. Unfortunately, I don't have the names of these players looked up, but if we happen to have any Italian fans out there, I'm sure you know these guys from before. Whenever a lead is able to get that amount of separation between the guard rocks and also put them in a relatively straight line. It does make it challenging for the opposition to get rid of both of the guards with just one shot. So that's why that was a really good set up by the Italians, but an equally great draw there by the Latvian team. It looks to be in perfect line just behind the two Italian guards, and also just in front of the tee line, like you would want to, so that the Italians don't have this ideal rock to freeze their own one onto. And there was a question about the Japan-Korea game, and yes, Japan has won that game. The final score was 5-3. The score was 5-3 after 7 ends, but it looks like they've probably started the 8th end, but at some point have shaken hands without completing that end. So I see X's on the board for the 8th end. Also X's on the board in the Slovenia-Spain game, which finished 6-3 after 7 ends for Slovenia. And it looks like Turkey has beaten the Netherlands with a score of 5-3 or 6-3. I can't quite see, but a win for Turkey nonetheless. I think it looks like 5-3 for Turkey. Really good choices here strategically from the Italian team, choosing to take their time to go into the house and make sure they have the guards that they absolutely need to make a steal in this end. So it won't be easy to get a good draw there. That'll be better than the Latvian one, but at least they will have the guards that they need to get that steal. And Latvia's not quite sure what to do here. They're probably considering between starting to peel the Italian guards, but because Italy has been playing their guards so well and there's a lot of separation between them, Italy hasn't left Latvia with easy doubles from those guards, and Latvia does have that perfect draw in the house, which would give them a win of this game at this point, but there's still quite a few more rocks to go. So Latvia discussing what to do with their coach in their timeout at the moment. It seems Latvia has abandoned the textbook strategy of peeling guards away and making sure the central line is open when you've got the hammer, like Latvia does in this end, and they have decided to either play another rock into the house or guard the central line to make sure Italy are not able to play onto their yellow rock. I don't think this is the result Latvia wanted. I think what they were looking for was probably a slightly heavier shot that would have come all the way close to the top 12 of the house, and ideally they probably would have wanted to angle that yellow rock with the red one that's on the top 12, so that even if Italy was to tap the yellow rock, it wouldn't leave a direct line onto the first shot rock of the Latvian team. For me, what happened here is a mistake by the Latvians, because it really makes things great for Italy as long as they are able to get rid of that yellow rock in the house. Or play a draw that's an even better draw than the one Latvia played. For sure, this will be an interesting end until the finish, I think. And we see another coach approaching the team. Italy has taken their time out as well to discuss their options at this point. Okay, and looking at where the broom is, it looks like Italy has chosen to draw. So they're going to try to get their rock right in the middle of the house to make sure that they are lying closer to the center than that yellow Latvian rock on those blue rings. Italy is sweeping really hard for line at the moment, and the sweepers can't quite keep it straight enough. It just rubs off the yellow guard there. So not the result they were looking for, but not necessarily a disaster either. It gives Italy one more guard on the side of the house, potentially a guard that they may be able to use later on in the end for a run back or a promotion takeout of that yellow one, or a tap back or something. Oh, I really wish we could see this from a straight angle now. Latvia went for a sort of a guard there probably, but with the way that rock finished right onto that red one, I think if Italy's able to come up with a shot where they can hit the yellow rock that Latvia just placed there, that'll give Italy a chance to remove the yellow rock that's now lying shot. And well, that's what the Italian team is looking at the moment. So they're looking at a run back of those two red guards that are left of the center line, which I believe is a really, really difficult shot. And the better one, in my opinion, is the one that it looks like they've decided to go for, which is using that rock on the right-hand side, which they just left there, and trying to catch just the right side of that rock, hit it onto the yellow. Oh, but they get the rock out directly. And that was always an option there too. It's not an option we see from this angle, but I'm sure the team knew that if we don't get the run back, there's a chance for that straight promotion takeout. So good job, Italy. And now Latvia will try to make another perfect draw behind the guards there. Latvia had really good line there for that draw for a while, but it just overcurled in the end, and the sweepers weren't able to keep it straight enough, long enough to get past those two rocks on the top 12. So a great opportunity for Italy now to play that perfect draw and be line 2 after that. A pretty nice draw there by Italy, but there is still room to throw a better one, so still some chances left for Latvia. I think this will be the first rock of the fourth player. Yeah, I think that's right. So 2 more chances for Latvia to try to get the better rock in there, but if Italy's successful in taking control of the top 4 and making sure to get rid of any draws Latvia puts there, Italy has a great setup for a steal at the moment. A great shot there by the Latvian skip. Unfortunately, I think the team was not quite awake there. They seemed a little bit disappointed at some point of the line of that shot. They were probably thinking that it looks a little bit wide, but then it slowed down considerably and started to curl more, and at that point they were a little bit late with really sweeping for that finish and that curl, so they would have had a chance to have it hidden better and have it just a little bit closer to the button. A great effort there by the Italian skip. Is just able to touch the yellow rock, move it to the left-hand side of the house. From where I'm sitting, it looks like Latvia is still lying shot, but I really can't be sure. It could be Italy. Yeah, I guess we won't know until the end of the end. Latvia again going for that good draw, and let's hope this time they're all awake for finishing the shot perfectly if the skip throws it well. Unfortunately, the Latvian skip threw his draw heavy, and the teams are not sure which one is number one, so they have placed their broom in the house to get a measure. And this really is a very, very even game when it has to, when you need a measure to figure out who won. So just narrowly, the Latvian rock was slightly better, and Latvia has won this game after an extra end with the score of 6-5. Some of our students agreed to go and grab some of the players from both of the teams from this game. So if there are Italian or Latvian fans out there, you should be hearing some comments from the players soon. Not sure if we will be able to get you a visual of the interview, but we will try. At this point, thank you from my behalf for watching, and I hope you enjoyed our live stream. We will have another live stream at 4 or 4:30 today. I think it was 4 o'clock. Not quite sure what the game was. I don't have the papers with me at the moment. But then in the evening, I know we'll be featuring a game with commentary, and I believe it was the women's round where Finland is playing against Kazakhstan. And I think the commentary for that will be in Finnish for our Finnish curling fans. And with the way we're scheduling tomorrow, we will try to have commentary in English for this 12 o'clock round from sheet D, as well as the 8 p.m. round from sheet D. So if during that time your home teams happen to be playing, feel free to tune in. So thank you from my behalf. Have a good day. So it does look like in a short while you'll be hearing some comments from either the Italian or the Latvian team or both. So if you want to stay tuned, it looks like we've got one of the Italian players there.
I think we played a good game. The opponent played also a very good game. We missed some key shots and they made it. And unfortunately we lost, but I think it was a good game with a high percentage of playing for both teams.
Yeah, we think it's a very good game. And what strategy your team use in the competition just now?
Now we have to win the other games because we want to pass to the playoffs. So it's important to win the other games, especially against Australia and England, where they will be tough. But we are hoping that we will make it.
Okay, thank you. Hello. Yeah. Would you like to commentate your game just now?
Well, the game was pretty close at the first instance. We were missing quite a lot of shots, and
Sorry. Would you like to commentate your game just now?
Well, at the beginning of the game, we missed quite a lot of shots. We didn't sweep them till the end, and overall the expectations of the first half of the game were pretty low. But after the mid-game break, we got together and started playing really well. They also started making a few mistakes, but nothing that much, nothing that crucial.
Okay, we think it's a very good game you played. And what strategy your team use in the game just now?
Well, we used the basic strategy of playing to the center without the hammer, and with the hammer trying to play to the sides. And well, the game to the sides, when we had the hammer in the first half of the game, we kind of didn't get any points because we couldn't execute the shots. But when we got the chance to play over to the center of the house and the playing field, we started to get points, and we could do our shots, I guess.
Okay, and do you have some plan after this game?
Not really.
Go and sleep.
Go and eat, sleep, relax. It was a good game, We've earned it, in my opinion, so yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Have a nice day.
Yeah, good curling.
So that completes our live stream for this session. It was quite a long one because we got to see some interesting shots there by Italy and Latvia as well. And the next live stream will start at 4 p.m. this afternoon, Finnish time. You're welcome to come and watch that as well. Thank you and bye.